Basketball season is upon us. Joining us, the head coach of the Cavaliers, Jamie Cluesman. Her team set to open up the season this weekend at home in a Peach Belt SAC Challenge against Flagler and Clayton State. Coach, before we get into anything about this weekend, I guess we'll speak in a broad view and some changes to your basketball program. 2 new coaches on staff. We'll start there. Taylor Miller and a player that had quite a career here now on staff, and Kaylee Johnson.
Yeah, so both have stepped up and, filled the role very well. First with Taylor Miller, she's been a part of like D3 programs. So it's kind of similar as D2. You have to be involved in every aspect of the game, whether it's with budgeting, booking hotels, pregame, postgame meals, the ins and outs of a program, along with coaching on the court. So she's had her hand in a mix of all of that. So I feel like the transition has been pretty smooth for her. Early on, she was obviously understanding like the system that I like to play. But I think she's definitely catching on. I feel like she's a very fast learner and she retains information very well. So, she's kind of just slid right in and found her spot in her position. And, I think the players have done a good job of, welcoming her into the family. They come into the office and cut up with her and, just make her feel a part of the team. And that happened very early on. So I think that helped with the transition as well. With KJ, incredible player here. I was fortunate enough to coach her for 4 years, so she knows exactly what's expected day in and day out, in game situations. She understands like adjustments that we make on the fly, things like that. So it's been nice having a familiar face on the sideline as well. So I just hope she can make it to majority of our games. With her being a full-time teacher, there will be some games that she won't be able to attend, but that's to be expected and understood.
All right, let's look at this schedule you have a little bit. It's, in my opinion, it's one of the more difficult schedules you could have put together. We talked about opening up with Flagler and Clayton State. You have Charleston coming here. They advanced to the NCAA tournament last year, won a game. You're taking your team down to Puerto Rico. You're playing Concord, your alma mater, as you always do. Winston-Salem State's on the schedule. Talk about the schedule and the mindset that you had behind putting the schedule together.
I mean, if we want to have a chance to play in the postseason, you've got to play good quality opponents. I'm not a coach that wants to play a game to get guaranteed wins. I want our players to earn those wins. And, having a strong non-conference schedule is only going to prepare us for our conference. And, we play in one of the toughest conferences in all of D2. So, my mindset behind that is if we can, get some of those non-conference opponents to, kind of push us and test us early on, that it's only going to help us down the stretch within our own conference.
If you could elaborate on this trip to Puerto Rico a little bit, because I think it's really cool when we have teams that can go on the road and do this sort of thing, providing a more student athlete experience for these kids. Speak on that, how you got that set up and kind of what that experience would be like for these kids.
We've been trying to go for a long time, but COVID, threw a wrench in all of that. But our players have fundraised and done a ton of fundraising to help support this trip. But like you said, it's all about the experience. I know I have a couple players on our team that have never flown before, so some of us, kind of take advantage of opportunities that we have been given and kind of forget that not everyone has had the same experiences that we have had. And I was fortunate enough to go to Puerto Rico when I was with Shepherd, and it was the same time that UVA was down there as well. And, just speaking with Mackenzie, who is my cousin who played at that time, we just talked about how it was such an incredible experience, as a student athlete, but also you're down there spending time with some of the, your lifelong friends. So you're creating those memories as well. And, it's 2 additional games that we get to play. So anytime that we can provide more opportunities for our student athletes, like I'm all for it, even if we have to work a little extra harder, to help fundraise. But, I'm excited to see the expression on some of our players' faces that first time they get on the plane, or, the first time that they're somewhere outside of the United States, which I know Puerto Rico is part of the United States, but it's totally different. So the experience that's going to come along with it is just going to make it an added bonus on top of the 2 games that we get to play.
All right, let's look at your roster a little bit. And I think we have to start with your backcourt with the experience you have there. Both Nia Van Sant and Caitlin Ross have been named the preseason All-SAC team. We'll start with those two women and how important they are to your squad.
I mean, they're the glue to our team. You know, they've been in position to play huge roles for us for 3 years now. So, you know, I'm going to rely on them just as much as their teammates are going to rely on them. But, you know, they put the work in and day out. So I feel like they're ready for the territory that comes along with that. But, you know, it's a team game. And I feel like our team as a whole has kind of stepped up and filled some of the roles that, you know, graduated from our program. So, you know, we're consistently battling in practice for those minutes. And, you know, we're still figuring out specific roles within our system and players who, you know, played a bigger role in high school or maybe on a previous team or maybe playing totally different roles here. So it's one of those things, it just takes time for them to understand. But I feel like our leadership with Caitlin, Leah Kessner, and Nia have all helped them fill those roles and kind of made it a smooth transition for them.
You know, you have a couple other women coming back, you know, Josie Hester and Chloe France. She's listed as a freshman due to a medical situation. They're back in the fold. Aaron's back as a guard. And then you have Sarah Burton, who's come on as well for you and the backcourt as well.
Yeah, so, you know, Josie Hester is one of the purest shooters I've ever had the opportunity to coach. She, you know, there's not a shot that she doesn't like, but, you know, that's something that she consistently works on in practice on her own. So she can be, you know, a knockdown scorer for us. And she's really bought into improving on the defensive side of things this year because she understands that her role is much bigger than it was even her freshman year. She's going to have to play both sides of the ball, and she's going to have to be a rebounder for us. She's a big body or big guard who can get in there and battle with those bigs for those boards. Chloe, you know, it was tough losing her last year. We're excited to get her back. She just has a motor and she never quits. She doesn't back down from anyone, not afraid of contact, doesn't care if she's 6 inches shorter than the person she's guarding. She's going to battle every single possession. And I feel like that's only going to get the rest of her teammates to play off of that same energy. Sarah Burton, you know, is 2,000 plus point scorer in high school, pure scorer, but she also has a lot of other upside to her game as well. She's a very good defender. I think her IQ is very high, but she also is a great facilitator. You know, she can go in there and create opportunities for her teammates. And, you know, Caitlin Ross doesn't have to shoulder that entire like responsibility this year with Sarah coming in with that experience. Erin Egerbrecht, you know, she's our hype man. You know, she brings the energy in and day out. And I feel like this year her preseason has been the best preseason that she's had all year. She's shooting the ball extremely well. And I feel like, you know, she's really bought in, understands her role, steps up when needed. And like I said, you know, I'm looking forward to getting those bench warnings this year because of Erin being on the sideline, you know, getting her teammates involved.
Looking at the front court, you mentioned Leah already, a senior back. Caitlin Berger's back for her second year as sophomore. She really came on and was really one of your better players down the stretch. And then a player that I'm interested to see, a transfer from Anderson, Caitlin Bailey. Speak on your front court players, and I guess specifically those three.
Yeah, Leah Kessner, you know, is a player that every coach dreams of having. You know, she does everything right on the court, off the court. She's a player that you don't have to ask to do something twice. She's going to make sure her teammates are all on the same page. So, you know, that leadership on and off the court is kind of uncommon these days. So we're going to lean on her a lot this season. But Leah has the ability to come in. I mean, she has the potential to average a double-double for us. You know, she's a big rebounder. She takes pride in that. And then she has a very good, like, mid-range jumper. Also has very good post moves with her back to the basket. So I expect Leah to increase our minutes this year and play a huge part in, you know, our season this year. Caitlin Berger, like you said, came on very strong towards the end of our season last year. A little bit undersized post player, but has very, very good post moves. She's very patient. But I think what separates Caitlin Berger from some of the other posts in our conference is her ability to pass the ball. I think she has very good court vision. And her IQ is extremely high. So on the defensive end, even though she may be a little bit undersized, she tries to use her basketball knowledge as well as like just trying to be a little bit quicker on her feet to get around those bigger post players. Caitlin Bailey has been a huge addition to our program. Extremely hard worker, is always in the gym, gives me 100% every single day, and has came on very strong, learned our system very quickly. So she's going to try to fill some big shoes this year, with KJ graduating. But I think she has the ability to come in and, pick up the scoring that we lost as well as the rebounding. But I'm excited to see her excel as a Cavalier.
A lot of options in the post. You have Alexis Warren back for her second season as well. You picked up Allison Fleener out of Pulaski up the road. A lot of options in the post for you this season.
Yeah, hopefully we can get a lot of paint touches, whether it's with the drive or with the pass, and allow those post players to do what they're really good at. I feel like Allie has the potential to extend the defense out because she has a little bit deeper range than some of our other post players. But obviously is a very strong body with back to the basket too. Lex is a great defender, very strong in the post as well. And they're constantly working and trying to improve to pick up some of those minutes that were left with our graduating class.
Coach, this is a question I like to ask all coaches when we do our season previews. If you and I are sitting down, hopefully middle to late part of March, because we've had a long season, what has went well for your team and what made you have a successful year?
Just playing team basketball and being some of the hardest workers on the team. We may not be the most talented from top to bottom, but I feel like collectively we have great team chemistry and we'll be able to pick up some of those areas that we may be a little bit weaker in. But that's our thing, V over me. We're always going to put the team first before any individual accolade. And I think we've really bought into that. So I'm excited to just see really good team ball this year.
Coach, good luck this season. We'll do a lot of these throughout the year. Fans, the season tips off Friday at home inside the Pryor Center, 2:00 against Flagler. If you can't make it out, you can watch it on Flow Sports. Coach, good luck.
Thank you.